Happy Monday, people. How the devils are we? On the ramp today, I've got a 2015 Ford Fiesta 1.25, and it's probably the engine that they should have left in these little Fiestas. But yeah, we're going to be doing a little timing belt water pump on it. How much do you think the dealer's quoted this customer? If I was to say over £1,000, what would you say? Let's get involved. Now, these engines in their time, they were absolutely brilliant. And I think the first thing we need to do is disconnect the negative first there, take the header tank cap off. I'm going to take it up and drain the water out of it. Right, with that vehicle up in the air now, I've drained the coolants out of it. Now, there's one thing I have attached to the chassis is a picklet engine support. Now, this thing is absolutely brilliant. Let me get a little light and I'll show you. It clips up to the subframe, like that, and it goes across the floor pan or to the chassis, wherever you want to go. And that now, when we drop that engine down, we can remove the engine mount and that engine will stay exactly in place. That's a brilliant tool. Right, well, I've got this vehicle back down to working height now. I've gone ahead, removed the 315s and the 218s out of the engine mount. And that engine now is sat there, nice and perfect on that support. Look at that. Beautiful. Right, we need to go ahead now and remove the rocker cover, because we need to time the engine up. Because on these engines, if you don't know, they are a free floating pulley, and I absolutely love this design. I think it's absolutely brilliant. As you can see, we have now got that rocker cover off. Now, over the years, what I like to do on these, remove cylinder 1 spark plug, drop a screwdriver, because on the end of the camshafts here, there's a bar, a plate that you need to put in to them little grooves. And it just helps you align everything up. Now, if you're an old school mechanic, you will remember these. The old Rover. Brilliant little bit of kit. Right, now that now should just slide in to the back of the camshafts perfectly once it's all lined up. Now we can take the car back up and put the timing pin in the crankshaft. But before we take it up, what we're going to be doing is just pulling that bar back out of the camshafts, because we do need to remove just move the crank a little bit. It's not going to bend these bars or damage the camshafts. I've got the vehicle up in the air. We need to go just behind the drive shaft, and I'll show you now. We need to remove that little 10mm blanking plug. You get this other little tool, and that now, I don't know if I can show you, that just slides in there, tighten it up, and make sure that it is tight. Because if it's not in all the way, chances are your crankshaft isn't going to time up correctly. Oh, this is a first for one of these. Now, everyone I've undone the crank pulley on, crank bolt, the pulley has just fallen off. But fortunately this time, I've just had to put a little bit of a puller on it and get it off. Now, I have pulled it back a little bit. I'm just going to have to undo the crank bolt and adjust the puller and get it off. Just with a little bit of magic, that crank pulley is now off. Now, what I've done, dropped the car back down, and we have removed the timing belt cover. There's a few little eights and a little rubber strap right down the back there, which just slides in to that, and then that cover will just pull off. We can put that on one side now. We need to remove this other engine mount, but to do that, we've got to take the start motor off. Start motor alternator, that's identifying today as a starter motor. Can't get my words out, but anyway, we need to get that alternator off. Once everything is removed, we can get a 21mm now on the camshaft, 13mm on the camshaft bolt, and slacken, then pulleys off, like that one, and also that one as well, and then pulleys now. Should turn like that, and that is free floating pulleys. I think that is a brilliant design. Brilliant design. Should we go ahead now and get that? Oh, where's it gone? Where's my little 13mm? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Just had it on my bar, haven't I? So we go ahead Get that tensioner off. Remove the timing belt. Brilliant design then. Bloody brilliant. Just with some more magic, that timing belt is now removed. And remember, you can see it's not in bad condition, to be honest. Right, let's move around now to the water pump. Now the water pump, if you don't know, is tucked behind the timing belt. Now if you're not changing the water pump when you're replacing the timing belt, I think personally it is false economy. So we're going to get my little receptacle now, put it underneath the engine, and then we're going to jump on the gun and lower the engine down. Look at this. Makes things so much easier for access. Right, get some 8 mils now and get that water pump off. And there we have it, that is one water pump removed. Now what normally happens with these, the water pump goes noisy before the timing belt is due, especially on these little 1.25s. Now let's move around to the brand new water pump. Now I'm fitting my preferred make, which is Shaftlet INA. Now with it, we've got a brand new gasket, new water pump, and bolts as well. Now please, please, please remember, when you're doing these water pumps, if it's got a gasket, you don't need sealant. Simple as that. Now, as you've seen from my previous video, the last water pump was absolutely saturated in silicone. Right. Now, before we put that water pump on, I've got the fascia of the block looking like brand new. Now, how I've done it is simply with a little bit of 3M Scotch pad. You don't want nothing too abrasive because it is aluminium and you don't want to be putting score marks in it. There you have it, that brand new water pump is on and torqued up to 10 Newton meters, and also the brand new tensioner, which is torqued up to 25 Newton meters. But before we put the new timing belt on, we need to replace the 2 bolts that go through the centre of the camshaft. Now, they do come in the whole kit, and we're just going to put them in finger tight, and then we can put the timing belt on. So we go ahead now and get this brand new timing belt on. Now, remember, we haven't got to worry about getting this belt timed up or correctly in between the pulleys. As long as it's on, it's on. Just like that. Simple as that, eh? Now what we're going to do is send the vehicle back up and put the crank pulley on. Now remember when I was taking the crank pulley off, I had to get a puller on it. Now they should just come off relatively easy. Now what I'm going to be doing is getting some 3M Scotch pad. I'm running it through that pulley, giving it a little bit of a clean, so hopefully it should slide on and allow us to tighten everything up correctly. Now you haven't got to go mad. It's a little bit of a clean. I've also cleaned the crank in the same way, and that should now slide on and spin nice and free. Beautiful. Cleaning is always the best. It's always going to help you, always. Now with that crank pulley on and a new bolt, we're going to get a torque wrench now and get it torqued up to 100 Newton meters, and then it's got to go 90 degrees. Now you can use the locking pin on the crank to do this. Now, if you use your gun to dugger it up, that is when you're going to bend your pin. But yeah, that pin will hold it while you get it torqued up correctly. After I've done my degrees, as you can see there, we've got a little green pen. That's 90 degrees, and I did put it at 12 o'clock. The reason why you started the crank on these is because of this. You can turn it back and just make sure that it is on that lock, and all them pulleys up there will turn nice and freely. I think this is a brilliant design, absolutely brilliant. With this vehicle back on the floor, this is what I like so much about this Pickler engine support, because I can go underneath now with my little gun. And send that engine up. How good is that? We've gone ahead now, we've pulled the pin on the tensioner, crankshaft pulley bolt is tight. Now we need to jump around to the camshaft sprocket gears, and they are 30 Newton meters, 60 Newton meters, and then 45 degrees. And remember, hold your camshafts with your spanners. Do not rely on that locking plate at the back, because it will snap the camshafts. Now remember to push forward on a 21 and pull back towards on the torque wrench. And that is torqued up to spec-a-rooney. I've just got to do the exhaust camshaft now, and then we can start putting it back together. Before we put all them timing covers on, what we're going to be doing is removing all our timing pins in the camshaft and the locking pin in the crank. Now I've put my own little marks on the crankshaft pulley on the bottom there, and also both camshafts. Saves putting them back in. We're going to spin it over twice and make sure everything's aligning back up. And if everything's perfect and you've done everything correctly, there's no reason why them lines shouldn't align back up. Right, let's get it put back together. And there we go, that car is now all back together, and as you've seen, I've given everything a little bit of a clean. We've got some fresh coolant in it, batteries connected, so we get on the key and give it a big start, Rooney. Now, there's a lot of people out there that are still very nervous when they start the engine. Now, providing you've done everything right, you shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. Beautiful. There we go. It is sounding like a little Singer sewing machine. And there you have it. I've put all my tools away while I've been waiting for this vehicle to get up to temperature. Now I have been looking at some live data on the new Launch Euro. This is coming out next year, such an absolutely epic tool. We've got my long-term, short-term fuel trim. Should be anywhere between plus and minus 10, and it is perfect. Engine RPM and the engine coolant temperature, which is coming up beautifully. Now going back to the beginning of the video when I said Ford shouldn't have taken that, well, stop putting that engine in the Fiestas and put them wet belt in. That is a brilliant engine, and it has been around for years. Absolutely so easy to work on as well. But yeah, if you've liked the video, please like and subscribe, and no doubt that we will see you on the next. Now this vehicle has travelled, I think, about 2 hours for me, so I've got to make sure that it's right for his journey back this afternoon. I don't know what I've got in this afternoon. I think I've got a BMW that I've got to put 2 turbos on it. Or no, I haven't. I've got a Jaguar outside with a cracked DPF. Lots of stuff, but I'm sure you're going to see the video. I'm sure you'll see the videos, either or. But anyway, please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next. Now let's get it sent.